Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Obviously thought we were going to be preparing for tomorrow night's game against PSV in the Europa League. That clearly isn't happening anymore. It was called off, as we spoke about yesterday. So Arsenal next in action on Sunday in that match against Brentford. 12 PM kickoff because of the change to the fixture schedule. So not too long to wait now, but still it just feels a little bit quiet this week, doesn't it? There is some Champions League football going on. We saw games yesterday. Liverpool winning just about against Ajax. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, really good game that was. I watched most of that, enjoyed that one. And we've got some games tonight, but no Arsenal on Thursday, which is just making this week drag a little bit. And of course, we've got an international break coming up after the Brentford game as well, which is going to feel like it's going to drag as well. So not too much football to talk about at the moment. But we do know now that the PSV game that was supposed to be played tomorrow, that has been rearranged. So all the talk of potential forfeit or anything like that has now ended. Arsenal will be playing PSV on Thursday, October the 20th at 6 PM. Quite wise, 6 PM. I'm not sure. We haven't been given a sort of a reason why that was at 6 o'clock yet. Not ideal for match-going fans, certainly. Trying to get across London for a 6 PM kickoff, that isn't going to be an easy at all. I'm sure they'll manage it because football fans do, but still, again, it seems to be a bit of a decision that doesn't put fans first. But anyway, the game is going ahead, and that means, of course, that the Manchester City game in the Premier League, which was due to be played the day before that on the Wednesday, that has now been postponed, and we haven't got a new date set for that yet. Imagine that will probably be squeezed some point into the second half of the season after everyone comes back from the World Cup. Not ideal, obviously, but it had to be done, and it always looked like, as I spoke about in video yesterday or the day before, that it was going to be that Man City game that made way. It was always the one that everyone was looking at, and it made sense to do that. And to be honest, sort of looking at it from an Arsenal point of view, it's not too bad. October's a really difficult month when you look at the fixtures Arsenal have got in, and just to play all those games back to back against top teams is difficult. So sort of taking Man City out of that and not having to worry about it until the second half of the season might not actually be the worst thing, because it just sort of takes a little bit, I don't know if pressure's the right word I'm looking for, but it certainly takes a little bit of intensity out of that October for Arsenal. And obviously it means that the PSV game can be played as well, which is really important. There was no one wanted a forfeit. That was a suggestion that was potentially raised if the date couldn't be agreed. That was what Arsenal was going to have to do, but they always felt like they were going to find a solution, and that has now been done. So yeah, good news on that front. We now know how the fixtures are looking between certainly now and the World Cup anyway. I wanted to talk today as well, as there's not much going on football. I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you've seen it yet, you might have done, you might not have done. Todd Boehly, the Chelsea owner, chairman, whatever you want to call him, has been speaking over in the US about the possibility of an all-star game, a Premier League all-star game. He was talking at a conference, I think the SALT conference over in New York, and this is what he had to say. He said, "Why isn't there an all-star game? With the all-star game in LA this year, we made 200 million from a Monday and a Tuesday. You could have a North versus South all-star game for the Premier League and fund whatever the pyramid needed very easily. I hope that the Premier League takes a little bit of a lesson from American sports and really starts to figure it out." Now, those comments have certainly generated a lot of debate over here today. I've wrote a piece actually that is going on Goal, but at the time of recording this, I don't think it's gone live yet, but it might have done. But I'll be tweeting it out once it's been published, sort of get an opinion piece on it, giving my thoughts on it. But I wanted to talk about a little bit about on here. Now I know I've got a lot of American subscribers. I see guys in the comments, and I fully respect the NBA, the Major League Baseball, everything like that. Fantastic sports, and everything around them is great, and it looks fantastic, but I absolutely hate the idea of an all-star Premier League game. I have to say, it's such a unworkable idea in my view, and I can't stand the way Boehly has put it across as well. I hate the phrase, I hope the Premier League figures it out. It's like, well, what does the Premier League have to figure out, to be honest? I mean, it's already the most successful league. I mean, it's absolutely money-spinning league. Money rolling in it from everywhere. So what does it have to to figure out. And the fact that he talks about it helping out the pyramid as well, I just think such rubbish. I can't believe people are buying it. Some people are buying it. It's not about the football pyramid. It's not about helping the pyramid. It's about making Chelsea, and not just Chelsea, because all the other owners would be in the same position, certainly the big six, richer. It's all it's about. It's about making more money for them. It's like if they really wanted to fund and help out the pyramid and all the rest of the football league clubs and the non-league clubs here, they could find a way to do it. They've got, the Premier League generates so much money, they could easily redistribute that wealth more evenly down the pyramid to help everyone out, but they choose not to. They're happy with the way they do it already. Money does drip down there, yeah, but plenty more could. If they really wanted to do that, really wanted to help out, then they could, but they choose not to because they want to keep that money for themselves. And that is exactly what would happen with this All-Star game. They'd keep the money, or the vast majority of it, for themselves. And it just wouldn't work in England anyway, to be honest. It's just football fan bases here are so tribal that would Arsenal fans really support a team or care about even watching a game called, I don't know, Premier League Southern Stars or something? Would Arsenal fans want to watch that team and even remotely get behind them with Harry Kane and Son up front? Would Man United fans want to be watching an All-Star game that's got literally a northern team packed full of Liverpool and Manchester City players? Of course they wouldn't. Who would care? It's so just not something that would work over here. No one wants things forced on them. No, the whole razzmatazz and the let's make football more of a spectacle, let's make the Champions League final more like the Super Bowl, it just doesn't wash, certainly in England. Look at what Liverpool fans did when Camilla Cabello did the pre-match show at the Stade de France in the summer and booed her out the building and just sang their songs over the top so no one could hear it. I mean, she went on Twitter afterwards and was fuming about it. She deleted the tweet in the end, but she was like, I can't believe they sang their songs so loudly over my show. It's like, well, no one wants to see the show. It's just, you before a football match, you want to create your own atmosphere. You don't want it forced upon you, and it's exactly the same with this sort of thing. And look, I'm sure there would be global appeal in it, no doubt. It'd be a football match with some of the world's best players playing in it, so it would be a global appeal. It would make money, I'm sure of that. Television companies would want to get involved in it because some people would want to watch it. But it's just, despite they're the only two good positives out of this. Really, the rest of them, there's just so many negatives that outweigh it, and it just wouldn't work over here. And I just don't agree with Todd Boehly at all about it. I hate, and like I said, I hate the way he talks about it funding the pyramid, because they could do that themselves right now. They've got enough money. This is a man who's just spent £250 million of money this summer transfer window for a manager who he sacks a week later. That sort of money could do wonders for the football pyramid and help the football pyramid and help loads out, but he's just willfully splashing loads of money on players for a manager who he then boots out and then pays millions of pounds in compensation in as well. So it's just, all of it, just for me reading it, it's just over the top of my head. I can't get my head around it. Not an idea that I would be, as you can tell, behind whatsoever. But please do, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, let me know. And I'm sure lots of you will disagree with me, and lots of you think the All-Star game would be a very good idea. But I can guarantee it now, from a fan's point of view, a fan's perspective over here, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't have the same atmosphere. What makes the Premier League so great and such a spectacle is that intensity, that noise, that crowd being right on the edge of the pitch, getting on the players and just creating that cauldron-like atmosphere. An All-Star, it'd be like Soccer Aid or something, which is fine to watch. It's fun and it does really good things, brilliant things for charity, obviously. But it's not a proper football match, and I don't know, the whole thing around it just feels so it just doesn't feel like something that would work in England. I'm totally against it, as you can probably tell. But let me know what you guys think. Agree with me, disagree with me, let me know, as always, in the comments below. In terms of Mikel Arteta's press conference, that's going to be on Friday. Now, ahead of the game against Brentford on Sunday, we'll find out a little bit more about what's been going on at London Colney during the past week. When we speak to Mikel, I think it's 12 o'clock. It's been confirmed now, but no, Arsenal, that'll be changed about 3 times by the time it actually does go ahead, because they love a late time change when it comes to Mikel Arteta's press conference. We'll get the latest on team news. Obviously, I said yesterday, Thomas Partey, my understanding is he is now fully fit and has been training with the team since the end of last week, which is very, very good news. We'll get updates, I'm sure, on Emil Smith-Rowe, Cedric Suarez. Who else is injured? Reece and Mo obviously long term, so I'm not sure we'll get too many updates on that. But certainly on Thomas Partey, Smith-Rowe, we'll find out exactly what's going on with them. We'll find out Mikel's thoughts ahead of the Brentford game. I'm sure lots of talk will be about that last time Arsenal visited Brentford, Ivan Toney's tweet and all that sort of stuff. There'll be lots of talking points from that press conference, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. Arsene Wenger's been speaking over here. David Dean, obviously brilliant vice chairman at Arsenal, former director who left the club as best mates with Wenger, was the man who brought Wenger over to Arsenal. He's got a new book coming out. He's been doing a couple of shows publicising that book. Arsene Wenger wrote the foreword for it, and he was at these shows. And they've both been speaking, answering questions and speaking about their time at Arsenal and how they left and that sort of thing. And I thought these were quite interesting from Wenger. There's lots of quotes doing around. You can find them when he talks about he thinks Arsenal could be Premier League title contenders this season. Talks about other stuff, but he talks about here the fact that he hasn't been back to the club since he left in 2018. So I haven't been there since 2018. After 22 years as manager, maybe I arrived at the end of the road and people wanted change. The club had chosen a different direction. I can understand that completely. Sometimes you need to have a completely new staff, and my presence there could have been a problem. He's talking here in relation as well to Mikel Arteta's comments fairly recently when he said that he would like Wenger back involved a little bit more and have him around the club a little bit more. So Wenger continued, he said, "So I stayed away completely to give the club the chance to rebuild a new connection with a new manager. That's why I never talked about Arsenal and I never came back to the Emirates, because I didn't want to be a presence that is maybe not good for the club. But I still feel that my life is definitely linked with Arsenal, so now I support them from the TV, and also I'm very busy travelling the world with FIFA." Doesn't really sound like a man who is that keen to come back and to the Emirates. Now look, the comments, I can't remember exactly when they were. I think it was Arteta made them ahead of the premiere of Wenger's film, the documentary. And they got taken very out of context, I thought, Arteta's comments, that people were sort of thinking that he meant he wanted Wenger back in some sort of position at the club. When it was never the case. Arteta just wanted him around, he wanted him to be happy just to come down to London Colney, visit, come basically to the training ground that he built, come back to the club that he played such a huge part in modernising and making it the sort of size and stature that it is now. And that's what Arteta wanted. He just wanted Wenger to feel comfortable to be able to come back and be around the place, not to actually offer him a position at the club. And I still feel, even by these comments by Wenger, he's kind of thinking about it as an actual position at the club, and I don't think anyone wants that. I don't think Arsenal, well, they don't want it because they would have offered it to Wenger at this point. I don't think Wenger wants it. He's moved on. He's got a nice job now, but I still feel it's just such a shame that we haven't seen Arsene back in some way, just popping in to the training ground, just having a chat, just coming to a game, being able to come to the Emirates, or wanting to come to the Emirates and feeling comfortable sitting up in the director's box watching a game. I just think it'd be such a big thing. He absolutely deserves a statue at the Emirates, in my view, 100%. He just did so much for the club. He absolutely deserves a statue. I just think it's such a shame that that hasn't happened yet, that he hasn't had that moment where he can come back, he can just be comfortable being around the club again. And I always think it's such a shame when I hear Wenger talk like this, because he absolutely should have gone when he went. He should have gone before that. His time was up. It was, in my opinion, anyway, that was clear. But it's such a shame the way it's all unfolded now, and that he still doesn't feel comfortable coming back. And I always, whenever I see comments like this by Arsene, I always just think it's a little bit sad that he still feels that he doesn't really want to come back. But hopefully one day he will, and we will see him back. And I'm pretty sure he will get that statue, because he absolutely does deserve it at some point in the near future. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, anyone. Hopefully as the week progresses, we'll have a lot more proper Arsenal sort of news to discuss and talk about and debate as we head towards that Brentford game on Sunday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Until then, have a very good day, everyone. Speak to you soon.